got another lance in here. Let's go check out this one. Well, let's see, on the side, I know we got some delamination right under there. Hey, can you move that so I can show the delam under the window? Just move the sheet. I don't think it's straight up right there. Then there's some over the door. I don't know if you can probably, camera's probably not going to pick it up. It's got a little bit of waviness right in here. Yeah, I picked it up. And this one, you can see it right there. So we're going to have to pop the window and the door out to get at that. We're going to go up and take a look at it. All right. Well, we got the vent out, and you can see we still got water in here. That's weird. Look how rotted this is. But this has a slump in it. We need to get a straight edge here. Let me see that ruler. It's got a pretty good slump. So, and we got some over here too. So we're going to see all what's going on. But that's soaked. You can see that's already all rotted. This is the lamination. So the shame is, you know, a lot of people think, you see someone already went around there, went around with tape. It's just a shame. That's not the way you do it. It's all the way over here. You can see how this shit pulled out. That's all rotted. So we're going to see what we can do, but if that foam is soaked, we're not going to get it dry. We're going to have to replace it. You can't replace the foam. This is called a ply foam roof. So you got 1.5 inch piece of foam right here, 1/8 inch sealant, and then you have a piece of 1/8 inch on the deck here. That's it, and it's all laminated together. They call it ply foam. So, but it doesn't fare well. They usually don't put a lot of structural strength in here. Like this is it. There may be 1 or 2 sporadically of, if you want to call them trusses, truss joists going from side to side, but that's it. So, but you can see, I mean, this thing obviously so far right here is rotted out. So let's see what we got. And then, well, this is where all that delam was right here, but we gotta get the awning off and get that pulled apart. So, but this is your typical RV roof. So they need curbs. You see a lot of these spray and roll on roof systems. They're not going to address this type of issue. I highly doubt they're going to be able to fix this type of thing. You know, they're just not really skilled at that. Their main goal is to get the product on and get your money. That's really what their goal is. So, and then they'll probably say something like, well, don't worry about it, it'll never leak because of this great crazy polyurea or TPO liquid ply, whatever it may be. They'll probably go on that angle, but that's just not the right way to do a roof system. That's why we don't do them. So if that was the case, I'd just buy the machine and I would do it. But it's not. You really need to open these up and see what's going on because they're built poorly. And I just hate to see people fall into the frill of all this. Wow, it's a spray roof. This is a monolithic roof system if you want to look at it that way. It's the same thing. I mean, like it's one piece. And that's all that other is. It's just a coating. It's one piece. So whether it's sprayed on or in a membrane like this, it doesn't really matter. It's all the same. So but if you have one of these sprayed, what they're going to do is spray over here on your roof. All right, they'll spray over. This is the flange of the skylight right here. They'll spray over that. They'll spray over the flange of the vent. But if you have a cracked skylight and if you have a broken vent, you got to rip up all their product and you got to put down the new vent and go back to them because they're not going to send you out any product to do it yourself. So, and the same with the air conditioner. It's still sitting on the roof deck. So sitting on the roof deck like that is still, you're going to have like poor drainage here up underneath because that's where it drains. You'll have poor drainage, and the other issue you have, trying to look underneath there to see so I can show you with the camera, but a lot of times you'll get pollen, dirt, debris, which will dry out that gasket. So you see they'll advertise, they'll say, forever roof, it'll never leak, you know, all this nonsense. And then when you actually get the warranty and read it, they know it's going to leak. That's why they put a clause in there on line 5 that says air conditioners are not covered. So if it's not going to leak, then it shouldn't leak, right? You shouldn't have any issues. There shouldn't be any clauses. But that's just the way they are. So you got to watch the marketing. It's just all hype. The product itself, most of them are pretty good, but those coatings are generally meant for a commercial roof. That's what they were meant for. One that has curbs. That's generally what they were meant for. They weren't meant for just putting it on, and like this is just not proper procedure of how to do a roof anyways. Just putting it down and putting self-leveling or caulking around it. That's just not the right way you do it. But you can go online if you want and verify, and go do some searching for flat roof images. And you'll see these flat roofs, you'll see that the air conditioners, the vents, the skylights, you'll see them all elevated up off the roof line, sitting on a curb. And even to make it better, instead of just looking for, you know, the United States or something, go to another country. You'll see every country around the world, all of humanity, they know you need curbs to seal a flat roof. Except for an RV, it doesn't make sense. And the worst part about it here, like when water gets in like that, it gets trapped. It can't go anywhere. Like it's not draining out, it's not going to dry out. And if you just start trying to prepare, you know, apply those products on top of all that stuff, you just trapped in mold, you just trapped in a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, our goal here is to make sure that the whole project is done correctly. I don't want any underlying issues. That's why we take the time to verify and to open things up and to double check. We want to make sure. I don't want to send this out with rot in there. I don't want to send it out with, you know, issues. You know, if the foam is bad, it's going to have to get replaced. But it's looking to me like we're probably going to have to put some trusses in this thing, at least up into here anyways. But if I get it all open, I'm probably just going to do the whole thing. So I kind of look at it to see where we're going with it. And then obviously I want to talk to the customer, see what they want to do, you know. But obviously that doesn't have enough strength, so we're going to need some sort of structural work done in here. So, and also that's a polystyrene foam. You know, when we do ours, we use isocyanate. Isocyanate is a closed cell structural foam. This polystyrene isn't. It's just an open cell. And it doesn't have the same R value either. But anyhow, all that said, that's we're going to open this thing up, and we'll see. I'll show you. You know, you'll see more once we open it up. You'll see all the rot, and you can even see it over here too. Despite having all the tape and everything on there. So, and a lot of people do this. They go, hey, you know, I taped it all up. It looks fine, right? Like you look at this right here, and the tape is loose. The tape is loose. And then people say, oh, you didn't prep it right. Well, I mean, that's probably a little bit true, but nobody knows how to prep it right. So most people think you just wash it down and put it on there. That doesn't work that way. That isn't the way these tapes work. You know, they don't work that way. And then the UV light, see, that's not even, that's going to come off right there. And it'll leak. That's another leak. But the same with this. And you can see there are leak points up in here. Like right in this corner. That's a leak right there. So, but a lot of people think you just put the tape on there and you can go. Things don't stick to membranes unless they're primed. So, it doesn't matter what you do. You put that all down there, it's not going to adhere well because it's not primed. So you're not going to get any long-term results out of it. But you can see all this is, like you said, is all rotted. So looks to me like a lot of it is. Right on the set. Alright, so you can see it's all delaminated all the way up to here anyways. Up there, the air conditioner forward seems to be okay. So we haven't tore most of it off yet, or all of it off yet. So we got this seam okay. And then right in here, but yeah, we got some by this air conditioner. See all this junk right here? This is what dries out your gasket. So we do have some stuff right here, you know, that's rotted. But we've had some issues there. That's why you need to have these curbs on here. So, I mean, not every roof I pull up is the gasket always fails. I'll admit that. But it's going to fail. So it's, oh, he's got it beeping now, all right. I wonder why it wasn't beeping. You press the hold button. There you go. That's what it is. You hear that beeping, that means saturated. So that's just this wood right here. We know that's wet. So let's see if we can get down into the foam. Here's your foam. And foam is always zero. Let's see what we got there. So that's soaked. That's for foam, that is soaked. So I don't think we're going to be able to dry it out. And then I also get this problem with the belly. So what happens is with the, when this is all done at the factory, they laminate this together. When you have one sheet on the bottom, the foam in the middle, and the other sheet on the top, and you have all that, and then you laminate it, it's really strong and it'll stay pretty flat. But Once water gets in it, then it starts to delaminate all this. The glue loosens up, and then it starts to sag, and you can't chase it back, not without replacing the whole thing. So, and also there's, I mean, you can see there's no framing around here. There's no framing around the inside of that box. There's no framing even over there. So there's very, very little framing in this thing. There's maybe a couple of few pieces. Maybe there's one in the middle here. There may be something up there for the air conditioner possibly. But as a rule, there's nothing in here. Not what you would think. It's not like 16 on the center is my point. So, but anyhow, we're going to pull it all up, and then, you know, we'll have to take a look at the inside and see what's going on and what we're going to do if I'm going to rebuild the whole entire thing. We're still bouncing around some ideas. We also noticed more delam, and it was actually running down all the way to the front and the jack down the bottom, way down the bottom over there. So we're going to have to check this wall out. It's got some serious moisture issues in here for sure. So the awning that was on here, when the arm retracted back, it was kind of like like a scissor. This was like a scissor operation, this one was. And when it come back, it cracked a hole in the siding. That's why they had that plate there. I'll bet that's the same, like right here. I'll bet there's a hole in there. You can see the little dot. That's from the awning arm that keeps hitting at the end of the awning arm. But I'll bet we'll find a hole in there too. Look at that. That's some water damage. Hey, maybe we can glue that back in. Alright, we gotta figure out how far we're gonna go with this. Alright, so I showed you all this mess here. And I want to see, if you touch this, it does not feel wet. Somebody would say, hey, this isn't wet. We can just work with that. I'm going to show you this. This is why this is an important tool. You cannot lock moisture in. You lock moisture in, you're going to have issues. What happens is when you put that on there, the sun is going to pull all that moisture out, and things will loosen up and things will start coming apart. So this is what I got here. Foam is always 0. There's nothing there. So we got moisture over here. So come over here. I'm like, what is that? 7.1. Then we got a little bit more right here. So this is what we're trying to do, to figure out where all that moisture is. It's in the foam, but we got to get it out. Foam is always 0. So we wouldn't be doing a good job if we just said, yeah, it feels dry. Yeah, that's great. Let's put a roof on it. No, you can't do that. Again, like I said, the sun will pull it out, and it will cause things, the glue will start coming up and releasing, and things start coming apart. Has to be 0. So my goal is probably going to run some trusses in here to give it some strength. That's what I'm looking at. So we got to obviously clear the rest of it off, but I showed you over there on the other side, they're working on trying to get the siding pulled back so we can fix that delamination issue. And then I figured I'd try to get a head start on some of this here. So that's where we're at right now. We still got a little bit of roofing to pull up, and I'm hoping that's going to be better, but more likely I'm going to just make some trusses and set them in here. So, well, this is the mess we got. Now we got to shave it all off. When you looked at this coach, you wouldn't have thought that there was that much damage underneath it. We don't know how far it's going to go. I hope we don't have to take the whole piece off. There's our new panel going on. Alright, so we're going to start pulling this foam out. And we got this section out, as you can see. Look how wet this is wet. I mean, that is sopping wet. This is some of where we were getting our moisture still wicking up through the foam. So I'm sure there's more in there. So we have to take this out and do it right. Wow, look at that block right there. That is soaked. You see how dark that is. I'll bet you put that moisture meter on there, it'll just read. It'll just go berserk. Plus you shut the sound off. Yeah. When you see it like that, that means that's soaked. Like that's overload. It's sopping wet. So you don't want that stuff in there. It's just going to breed mold. So You know, but if you were to touch this, the average tech is going to touch this and go, hey, that's fine, that's fine. It's not fine. That's why we use a moisture meter. You have to trust your tools. They're telling you something. Look at how wet that ceiling is. That needs to get dried out. We can try to salvage it, but you can't keep all that wetness in there. You just rot that right out. So, and like I said, it'll turn to mold. This is this where the ladder goes? Right here? I think there's a ladder. That's what that stock is for, the ladder. But that one there, you can almost wring it out. Oh, wow. Yeah. You know, and like, this is why we do what we do and why it takes what it takes. You know, we want to take time to do it right. We don't want to rush it along. Nothing good ever came from rushing a job. So even though the foam, like I said, you touch it and you'd be like, wow, that's fine, yeah, go. No, no, no. The tools are telling you something. So we're going to get this all out, we'll get it dried, and then I've got some other structural supports that I designed up that are going to add a tremendous amount of strength on this, so I don't have to actually reframe it with all new trusses and interior. Like, we did another one that way, but that one was really far gone, the ceiling was gone. So I try to do the best I can to see what's going on and stay off the wallet. I don't want to be ripping up a wall if I don't have to, so I designed some different trusses for this. If you want to call them trusses, they're really supports, but, you know, and you can see you got one rail going there. Does that go all the way through? It doesn't even go all the way through because you can see it right there. That stops somewhere. I don't think it goes all the way through, does it? Yeah. So there isn't anything around these openings. So like I say, we're gonna get this thing back the way it should. Hey, this is a Lance. These are supposed to be, hey, they're one of the best ones going, blah blah blah. They're all the same. They don't care. They just want to. They make a name, and then after they make a name, they just go back to crap. That's what all of them do. So there's quite a few of them that were out there that built some quality ones years ago, and you know, if you're going to build a quality camper that isn't coming back for repairs, then you know, the way the corporate America looks at it is it's a losing industry. So they want to, you know, basically it's called consumptive marketing. It's a way to make sure they break down so you come back and they can fix it and stay in your wallet. So this is what you got. This is what it said. There's no real structural strength in here. This is going to be 1.5 from here to here, 1.5. Why did they put just a 1 inch? See the gap? They could have brought it up and used a heavier stock. That would have definitely have helped. But I mean, right here between these two, come on, you're looking at just a little over 3 foot, 37 inches. And then this is 4 foot right here. You got 4 foot in between these ones. So that's way too much spacing. You know, that's why these things don't, they all, you know, they sag, they fall apart. They're relying on the foam to carry the strength of it, which works as long as it doesn't get water in it. Once you get water in it, it'll fail, like you saw. So that's what we're going to do, is add the structural strength back to it. The rest of it up here, this seems okay. All of this actually up to about, oh, I don't know, where the guy's sitting right here, this vent. That's all pretty good. So we're just going to try and strengthen up. We got an air conditioner there, so I definitely want to add some more strength there. So this is what we're doing here. So we got to get everything kind of organized. Got to get these wires to recess down so we can get another piece in here to give it some strength. So that's what we're working on. This one we may not even have to cut this one because we're going to put a truss right here. I'm going to put another support here. I'll put another support here running up inside that skylight. I'll put another one on this skylight. That's what it's looking like right now. And then we're going to fill this and bring it up to level to here. And then when we clad over it, we can glue it all together. And inside, what we're doing on the inside is we're pushing it up. We've got pole jacks all the way to the side there, and we're going to adjust the ceiling. Because you can see over there by where the cord runs, we got a little dip, but we got a slide out. So we got to get the slide out of the way so we can get that bridged up and blah, blah, blah. So, all right, let's get to work. But this is what it looks like. You know, these things are built pretty cheap. All right, so we put in new foam. Added more support. New foam. This was the original. So all we did is just add a little piece of plywood to build it up to elevation. So, and all this, you can see we got it all glued in. So it's glued to the roof ceiling, and then we also glue everything back together. It's just the way we do things here. So this is going to be really strong. The problem is solved. So we didn't have any issue really up here, so I didn't want to poke that bear. There's no reason to. There's no compromise at all whatsoever. So We're going to put 3/8 plywood on this thing, and that's going to be pretty thick, you know, for what we want. They had luan on here, which is just 1/8 inch. So this is 3/8. So we upped it quite a bit. Now all we're doing is just staging it out, and once we get it all staged out, we're going to get it all adhered down. We're going to glue it down. But then in some of these areas, we can screw to these too. So we're going to do them both. Then screw down the edges, and we'll get it all on here. But we got everything done. See, then we added some strength. I really wanted to add some strength. That's how we did it in the air conditioner, because I didn't want that to sag and settle. So we got another strut in here, and then we've got some more pieces here. Did the same to the skylight, put some pieces in. We want it stronger. That's the whole idea to it. So, all right, onward and upward. Right on the set. All right, you can see we got all our decking all glued down, and we got our strips in there. That just, you know, when you put these plywood pieces together, sometimes, you know, one may be a little more proud than the other. We sand them down, and then we put that strip over it, just make it look clean. It's not a structural issue, it's just maybe an OCD thing on my part. I like it to look clean, not only functional, but I want it clean. So put these shoulders on here. Before they just had tape on there. We don't do that nonsense. We got it all around the perimeter, and you can see you can see the sheen. It's all the glue. That's all glued. We're gonna roll it over, and you'll probably see like a lot of these campers that are puffing up as you're going down. The roofs are puffing up as they're going down the highway. The industry, the RV industry, only glues one side. They'll glue the deck. They don't do the membrane. So the bad part about that is this is a contact cement. It needs to be on both sides. That's why it releases. But they're that cheap, you know. They give you a 365-day warranty and see you bye. And that's not even saying they're going to warranty for no leaks. That's just saying, you know, their warranty. Like if the roof blew off, they'd probably do something, possibly. But anyhow, that's why we do it this way. You do it the right way. You can take all these steps to do it properly, and you don't have any issues. All right, so we're going to clean the AC. This cover comes off. We set it there. Get these quarters right here. These little screws. You can put it in the gun if you want. Here. But look at all these bugs. Look at all this trash in here. See it? This is what we want to clean out. So what we did, all we do is just put this with foam and bubbles. And I see people that are using this no rinse cleaner. I'm not an advocate for that, because all that's going to do is just loosen this up. But that stuff needs to go somewhere. Now on the condenser side, it probably won't matter, because it'll drain out here when the water hits it, right? It'll drain out. But on the evaporator side, there's a big difference with what's gonna go on here. These are what little bugs. There's a drain port down inside here. Look at down there. We even got, you know, little bees nests, and another one right there. We got 3 of them. We're gonna see what we got inside here. How many more you got, you think? One more.
Yeah, I can get my grabber in there.
Probably need to get an extension. Another one we got out of there. So we just pop this up, and look at that one. There's alive. That is a cockroach. Looks like a cockroach. So overall, like, it looks, there's a spider. This one doesn't look like the worst thing I've ever seen. You got a little bit of booger in here, a little bit of dirt, but not terrible. But we want to get them out. So this is where it drains. This is coming in from your interior. So if you get water in here, this is the interior. When you're up inside, or when you're in the coach and you're looking up and you see the cover, you take the cover down, this is what you're looking at up inside the AC, okay? So if you wash this, you just got to be careful not to, you can't just get a hose up there and whoosh, right? You want to try to flush it out with low pressure, really, because you don't want to push it all through and get it down in there and in there, because air comes up from your cabin right here. So whatever dust or pollen, whatever's inside the camper is going to come up, and now this fan is pulling the cold air through the evaporator. That's what's happening. It comes up, gets pulled through, and then now it's cold, and then this throws it back down. That's how the cycle works. So that's going to be open. If you get water in there, you're going to get water in your coach. So we just take them off because they got to come off anyways, right, while we're doing the roof. And we figure, what the heck, let's just clean them up. We're also going to check that gasket up underneath there, and no sense in putting it back. But I recommend these to come off, you know, at least once a year. You know, they're not hard. They're just 4 bolts that generally take them off on most of them. Some of them are mounted on different models. They'll be mounted right through the frame with a big lag bolt. I'm not really a fan of that cell for sure. That's a leak. But anyhow, that's how those would be. But this is all we're doing. So we're just going to try and scrub it a little bit, get the dirt out. We're going to flush it with a hose. And then we're going to make sure those ports, and that's what I'm trying to show you, is that port down there, right in here, you want to make sure they don't get clogged up with this stuff. You know, and if it does, then it'll be backing up. So now, we'll say those are clogged, just for argument's sake. There's a bug in there, something, right? There was a bug that got pulled up or whatever. Maybe it didn't have the filter on there, whatever, right? Or some of this booger here, the dust, pollen, gets down and it clogs up this port, just for argument's sake. What's going to happen is this tray is going to fill up. This fan is still going to want to pull. So what it's going to do is pull water through it. And then when the water comes through here, that's going to ice it up. And then it's going to throw it down here. The water that it pulls will, from that tray, will go back down there, and you'll have a leak. And you'll say, oh, I got a leak in my air conditioner. And it's because these ports are clogged. So if you go and use this no rinse type to clean it, how are you going to ensure that those aren't clogged? You won't know until you come up here and inspect everything to do it. So now all we're going to do is that hose, we're just going to flush it out. That's all we do. And I try to, if I can get the hose in on both sides, what I'm really trying to do, you can see it coming through, I want to get all of that out of there. So that rinse isn't going to do that. Rinse is just going to do the surface stuff. So we're going to flush this real good. We're going to clean all this out, get all that out of there. You know, probably clean up this squirrel cage a little bit. Make sure, see, it's here. We're just going to clean everything down. Let's take a little brush. And it, you know, sometimes you'll get, you know, wasps or something, as you can see, that get in there. And if you have maybe one of these little wasp nests, the mud wasps that get in there, and then make a nest there, that's going to throw this out of balance. And some folks have complained about hearing a racket. My air conditioner is making a lot of noise. Well, yeah, it's because that nest is throwing the balance of the fan off. So it's wobbling, and that could ruin a bearing. The bearings are inside here, right? And now you gotta, so all this is just a little bit of maintenance. But most techs that I've found, that I've watched, they don't do this. There's a guy that was showing a video how easy it was to put that no rinse on there, but he's not doing you any favors. Because actually you can see there is. See there? Let me see if I can get that to not blur out. That looks like some mud wasp or something in there, you know, a nest. We're going to get that cleaned out. But these techs that are showing you on there, just use this and hey, it's done. They come up there. If they come to your camper and they go, hey, we're going to spray this on there, and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. They're going to charge you a service call. They're going to charge you whatever, maybe $300 to come up here and service your air conditioner. But he didn't do it properly. All they did was spray some stuff on. He didn't remove the AC. He didn't properly clean it. So now, again, you got that clog. So what happens? Now you do get the clog. Because again, it wasn't, stop right there, go back. What's that right there? Whoop, you see that? There's something in there. That's what I wanted to show, like all this stuff gets in there. So now he didn't clean the port, or she, whoever your tech is, didn't clean it. And now you have that water building up, and now you got water coming in, right? So you got water coming in, and then you're gonna call that tech back. What do you think he's gonna do? He's gonna charge you yet again. He's going to hit you twice. You're going to pay twice for what should have been done in the first place. These are the big scams that these techs are doing, you know, and the industry is always like, let's put Band-Aids on stuff. Let's put Band-Aids on stuff. They're not The industry is not something that wants to do it right the first time, get it over with so you don't have that issue again. They don't want to do that. They want to do what's called consumptive marketing. And that's what consumptive marketing means. Your consumers are going to be in your wallet. They're going to stay in your wallet. I don't believe in that. I don't believe people should pay twice. I'm cleaning these out because I don't want a tech to get on my roof afterwards and do the spray thing on there. And then after that, it doesn't work. Then you have to get up there yet again and start tearing stuff apart. So we're going to check that gasket, obviously rinse it all out. I'm going to make sure that the drain port is clear. We're going to do all that for the customer. And these are some stuff, you're not going to get this from another shop, and you definitely not unless you specifically ask, especially on like a spray or roll-on roof. And I give this information to folks so they have the information to make a sound decision on what's best for them. You know, whether you come to my shop or not, at least you knew, so you don't have the woulda, coulda, shouldas, you know, because these things are what's going to cause you a problem. Now you're out in wherever trying to camp, and you got to call it tech. That's some money right there. So money that probably didn't need to be spent had it been done the right way. A lot of our videos you'll see we tape up AC duct lines. We're checking for insulation. We're checking for compromised wires. These are things you're not going to get from your average, any shop that I know of. They're not going to do that unless they are specifically have to get in there, meaning someone's complained about it, or there was a rotted piece of plywood, and you know, or not even plywood, it's OSB, but they have to change that sheathing. Yeah, they're going to do that, but they're not taking it all up. They're not going to do that, not unless you want to pay them to do it. But this is all normal for us, you know. It's normal because I see these things all the time, and that's why we started just saying, hey, you know what, let's tear it all up, let's get it all done right, and then this way the customer doesn't have an issue. And if you remember on this video, we showed you like the moisture that we were picking up out of the foam and we had to replace it. These techs and these shops are not replacing. They're putting their hand on it going, hey, it feels okay. But you saw the wood we pulled out. That's a mold issue right there. So, you know, like I said, I just don't believe people should be paying twice. Let's get some of this all cleaned out, and then we'll flip it up. I'll show you the gasket. If it's good, yay. If it's not, we replace it. It's that simple. See how the tray is filling up? That's where the fan, seeing the fan would pull that in. And obviously we're soaking it with the hose, but I want to see it really leak out. So it's coming around, should be coming around here. We just want to make sure, when we tip it up, we're going to take a look at it. Let's get this tipped up, see what it's like. So these are the ports. Those are clear, so that's good. So, and like I said, we were putting a lot of water in there anyway, so we're going to make sure. Then we check the gasket. So what you're looking for on the gasket is you want to make sure, one, it's soft. That's what you're looking for. And two, you want to make sure it's even. So it looks like that one there, it looks a little thinner there than it is here. So it's still plush. And then the same here. So, but on the sides, not so much. So we may just say the heck with this and peel it off and put a new one on. We're all done with our lens. So we're going to go up and show you what it looks like. All right. So first thing you're probably saying is, hey, where's those bars? He didn't want them on there. He wants to put a piece of unistrut on there. So if you don't know what unistrut is, it's like a square piece of tubing with a lot of slots cut out so you can adjust it wherever you want. That's what he wanted. That's what we put on there. So you can, over here we got all the siding back together. Got all the delam done. Obviously the awning's back on. So we got everything all squared away. So everything you see here, I fabricated in this shop. Everything you see. This had 2 skylights, so I had to make 2 of those. And these, what we got going on, that's a solar fan, and this is an intake. And there's a trough inside there that I built into it. So this outer lens, especially in the colder times of the year, you're going to see you'll have dew or frost or something on there. It's not only on the top of that, it's on the inside of it. So you get a lot of condensation issues. So once the sun comes up to actually evaporate that off, what's up underneath gets diffused down to condensation, and that's what trickles down, and it can start rotting out everything. So And you saw some of the damage that had happened over here. So we got the slump out of the roof. You saw all the framing we put in there. And then, but anyhow, that's kind of slid off on the rotted wood there. But so what's going to happen is that solar fan's going to kick on when the sun comes up. And this intake right here, it just pulls air. And it's going to keep a constant cycle going in until that fan, I guess, burns out. Same with this one. They're both the same. And it also will keep that, between the inner lens and the outer lens, it'll keep that cavity cool. It'll keep water moving in through it. So over here, we've got the solar mounts. And you can see the way we mount the solar like this. That's the way you want to mount it. Too many people are putting these things on the roof and they're screwing them down. And I showed you this roof system in itself. It's just ply foam. So I would not be recommending that as a means of securing your solar panel down. 1/8-inch plywood is not enough to hold a screw from the wind that could pull it up. So, and a lot of people, they think that when you're traveling that the wind is pressing down. It's not. It's actually pulling up. It creates a vortex. So it's actually kind of sucking it upwards, if you will, putting a lot of stress on those screws. And by doing so, it will loosen up these brackets, and then you start getting these leaks, and they're very, very small chronic leaks. You're not going to notice it like, whoa, I got a leak, not until everything is all rotted underneath it. So much like we saw on the other side. So we got all that together. You can see we got the air conditioner up there, and these curves are real important to have on a roof. A lot of people will say, oh, it's a RV roof, it doesn't need to have curves, it's flat, the water will roll off. That's not really the purpose in that sense of a curb. So granted, the water's going to wash off, but you still get all this water coming across the roof, and what curbs do is it redirects it around the penetrations. It's going to redirect it around the penetrations, like especially that skylight, that escape hatch there, the vent, and so forth. It's going to redirect it around, but it also prevents erosion effect. And erosion effect is, you know, like when you constantly have that water keep rolling over, it will create an erosion effect. So that's another issue that gets solved. So when the water comes through, it's going to, even on a heavy rain, if you're traveling, it's going to want to try to get up in there, but it's not going to be able to. It's going to have to go around because they all have built-in counterflash on them. All of them do. Even the air conditioner. So the air conditioner, that's the most important one of all. So you know there are these spray and roll-on roof companies, and what they'll do is they'll spray over here, and they'll spray over this. You know, they spray over that. Okay, well, we'll say that works for a while. But on your air conditioner, you can't do that. There's just a foam gasket there. And that foam gasket will fail. The dirt, the pollen, the debris will get in and dry out that gasket. When it does, then obviously it's going to fail. Then again, it's going to be chronic. It's going to be something that's, over time, is going to start having these little small leaks that eventually turn into big leaks. So the purpose of the curb, elevating it, gasket is now protected. There's no way you can get water up in there. I mean, and that debris, it's not getting in. The other thing it does is, since it's elevated, I showed you the ports on these when we washed them out. It gives it that much more room to drain. So you're not going to have that debris clog up around the portholes, the drain holes. You're going to have that. So it's going to drain better. The front piece that you see there, that goes over this counterflash, and it pushes it down here. I don't want the water to roll back into the AC coming down. I know we get rain coming down, and then the wind blowing. I don't want it to blow back up underneath the AC. So I put that counterflash, it goes all the way around. I put that on there to force the water to come down and get past that. I've got a couple legs in the back that just gives it some balance. Now, all that said, this you can replace yourself. There's nothing different about installing this. The only difference is that the bolts are longer. That's it, but the installation is the exact same. I designed this roof so anybody can follow behind us. This isn't, again, you go back to those spray and roll on roofs. If you got a cracked skylight, you're going to have to cut all that product out, pull the lens out, replace it, and then you go back to them for a recode. You got a vent that needs to be squared away because a tree limb hit it or whatever, or hail, then you're gonna have to take all that, cut it loose, put a new one on, go back to them for a recoat. They're not giving you that product. They're not going to give you any of it because it's their secret product. It's polyurea is what it is. And there's different blends of polyurea, kind of like soda. You can buy Pepsi, Coke, RC, Cola. They all just kind of tweak it just a little bit with the molecular structure so they can run and get a patent on it. But it's polyurea. It's real simple. It's a good product, but you know, they brag about it being really thick. And the reason it has to be thick is because there is no strength in it if you put it on too thin, and that because this membrane here is reinforced. The spray on it, it's not, or the roll-on, they're not reinforced. So they try to put it on thicker to accommodate for that. You know, and they talk about how strong it is and so forth. You're not going to have bullets hitting this thing. You know, it's going to be able to withstand some hail. But, you know, the hail is still going to damage your lenses. It's still going to damage, you know, these vents and so forth. If it really wants to, beat up the lid of the AC, crack solar panel, and all these things are going to need to be replaced, which means you're going to have to start tearing into that product to make the repairs, and then you're going to have to, again, go back to them. But one of the things it's not going to solve is that air conditioner issue. And a lot of them will have exclusions on there that'll say AC is not covered. So, you know, I really strongly suggest that folks go watch some of their videos, watch what they do. One of the things that you're going to find that they're not going to do is they're not going to check all of the foam like we did over here. So when we open this up, we were over here checking to make sure there was no moisture. To the touch, it felt dry. I had mentioned that. It felt dry. Like anybody else would have went, that's fine, let's roll with it. And anybody else would have. That meter was telling me something. And when we dug it out, you saw all the rot we had over here. You saw all the rot we had. We pulled the chunks out. That was buried way down inside there. These companies don't do that. Their goal is to get the product applied, get you out, get your money. That's it. So now all that wood that's rotted, what do you think is going to happen? Of course, it's going to turn to mold. And you're going to have other issues. Then what do you got to do? Tear out the ceiling, and you go back to them and go, hey, you know, I had something wrong. I go, well, it wasn't there when we did it. Well, it was. You just didn't correct it. So this is why I encourage people to do some homework. I'm not bashing any one system. That polyurea, or the other one is, I think it's a TPO, a liquefied TPO that they developed. Those coatings are designed for commercial roofs, but again, they don't go to the extent of checking everything that needs to be corrected prior to that. I watched another video where all they did was tear up the luan that was all delaminated, and he admitted that it was absolutely leaking. And all they did was tear it up, never checked nothing, and put some more luan on there, and then commenced the spraying. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I've got video after video, especially on these ply foam ones. If they're holding water, there's far and few between that I don't really have to do something to them. So just keep all that in mind. I hate to see people pay twice. That's why I mention all the stuff that I do. I don't want anybody paying twice. So we've got boots around the ladders, and that's a pretty common spot where, you know, the ladders move around a lot, and then probably not so much on that one, but a lot of the other ones like on travel trailers and Class C's and so forth. But those aren't ever going to leak. That's a portable sealer. This is the way a commercial roof is put together, literally. Same exact, everything is exact. All the caulking is commercial grade. Everything is all the sealants. You're not going to have to redo this roof. This is done. This is a done and done deal. So, you know, we'd like to see it come back. And unlike other companies, I can't go out and go say, hey, that's lifetime. Hey, come back in 100 years, it'll be fine. No. Everything needs some sort of maintenance. Everything needs something to be looked after, inspected, and so forth. We like to see them come back once a year so we can take a look at them, and we'll go over it. Sometimes people don't realize their lenses are cracked or something. We want to get all that corrected. We don't ever want anybody to think we took a job in just to get their money, and the only time we need to see them again is when they want to spend more money. We're not like that. So bring it in for free inspections. If anything were to happen that we inspect it annually, we inspect it, and something goes bad because we didn't catch it, we're going to fix it. We're going to fix everything. There's nobody who's stepping up to the plate for collateral damage. Nobody. So, you know, once you have that air conditioner, for instance, that gasket that fails, that's on you. You know, if you have it sprayed or rolled on, that's on you. Again, those are all clauses. So there's a couple of videos on our channel that show some really bad damage to it. One that just pops to my mind is it's a Class B Gulfstream that's on our channel. You go watch that one, and that gasket had failed. But it's pretty common. So if it wasn't common that they fail, then they wouldn't be making gaskets as much as they do. So again, keep all this stuff in mind when you're choosing, you know, who's going to do your job, and you know how thorough you want them to be. So the actual product this is a commercial grade TPO. It's the same exact product you're going to find on an office building, a library, a restaurant. Same exact installation. So what this is, you can see the little squares in there. And those little squares, that's the reinforcement. You actually see a piece of it right here. That's the mesh that's coming out. That's a nylon mesh that's built into it. That's what it gives it its strength. So there's all our info. You give us a call. And these are standard colors. So you can get different colors, but these are standard colors. Anything outside of these colors, they charge a premium for those. But these are all our standard: the gray, the tan, the white. So, and that's the membrane. So when they rate these on for accelerated testing for a commercial roof, this system is rated for 20 years. That's what they say. Sitting out on a building, all the elements, all the heat, the sun, so forth, anywhere. We'll say out in Texas. This is a 20-year roof system. You're going to get a lot more than 20 years out of it. Campers don't see that kind of exposure. I mean, and they do accelerated testing, so I'm sure it made it past that. And they're like, hey, let's not push it to the brink. We're not going to warranty it right up to the day that it fails, that type thing. And there's a lot of parameters of what cause things to fail. Obviously, UV light does cause a lot of things to fail. So when I hear all these companies saying, hey, lifetime this, lifetime that, I've never known anything in lifetime. And I've been doing roof systems for, let's see, 42 years. That's a long time. And I, as of yet, have never heard it except for an RV. I'm like, that's kind of weird. Why would they put it on a commercial building if it was? I don't know. But, so keep all this stuff in mind. Some stuff that you see and you come across, it sounds good, but a lot of it is hype. If those systems were that good, I'm just telling you, this is a lot of work for me. It is for me to build this and build that one especially. These take me a long time. These take me a couple of hours at least to build these ones. And then these take me an hour. So, and I designed them, so I know how they go together. So I get a lot of man hours just building it. If that stuff worked and it was that easy to just peel it up, stick some more luan down there, and then spray it over, I just go buy the machine. When we did commercial work, I had the recovery machines. We would spray big roofs like my shop is. We'd spray all these, you know. We had roll formers for metal roofs as well. So buying the machine isn't a big deal. Buying the whole equipment isn't a big deal to me. It's the point of it's not done right. So let's get it done absolutely correct the first time, and you'll be done with it. It's, you know, I don't believe in hacks. I don't believe in quick fixes. I want to make sure these things don't come back. No one wants to do this stuff twice. So we got our little stamp on here, and we put this on here. This is August 25. Read that. But we put that on there so we can monitor the roof when it comes back, or if he goes to sell it. So we just were curious to know, hey, how old is this roof? Or, you know, anything, any issues and so forth. Folks come in, and you can see one over there in that bay right there. That's one we did a while ago. They come in for inspections. So we're going to inspect it. That guy only lives around the corner. That's why he dropped it off. But, you know, we do all these inspections for free. Absolutely free. I don't know anybody that offers free inspections. So we want to check everything. So we put that on there. Sometimes we get curious. So, hey, how old is this? We've got, you know, videos of 8-year-old, you know, 9, 10-year-old coaches, 11-year-old coaches that we've done that the caulking is still fine. Everything is fine. But we like to check it. So on one of the key issues on here, you want to make sure all these screws are all sealed. All these screws are all sealed. That's important. So on your camper, if you don't, and you, especially if you have a lance, back these screws out a little bit, swap some caulking on the back head of it, and then drive them back in, and you get that little grommet that goes around there. So this is a portable sealer. You can see you can twist it all around. It stays watertight. This is all heat welded. Everything's all heat welded. All this, all heat welded, heat welded. TPO is thermoplastic. All this all heat welded. No need for self-leveling anywhere. So it's done. Again, this is the way you do a real roof. So all this heat welded. Everything's all heat welded, heat welded. This is all commercial grade caulking, and you can see how we've got this sitting on here. We have a different way of doing the way we caulk and, you know, get things watertight like this. First off, when these need to be primed, all plastic needs to be primed. Plastics, even acrylics, I'm pointing over to this skylight lens, all of that needs to be scuffed and primed and so forth, prepped properly. But then what we do is we load it, man, we load it up, and we just, once we put it down, we get it rested, nestled. I want to see a nice bead of caulking under there. I'm going to leave it alone. I like for that, for the cure. Once that cures out, then I'll come back, put screws in, because I want this like a gasket. That's what that is. That's like a gasket. Okay, so we you don't need anything else. This is done. You don't need any screws in this. I don't put screws in it, because other times you put screws in it, they're going to crack. These are really thin, and they expand and contract. So in the heat, it's going to, you know, obviously expand, and it's going to push this way against the screw. And then when you get a thunder shower and it starts to contract, it's going to pull against the screw, and that's what causes these fractures in here. So that's why we don't put screws in. And this stuff that we use, like windshield adhesive, that's what we use. It's pretty strong. Never had one blow off. So they don't come off. You're not taking that off easy. And if that crack, again, a customer can do this themselves. They don't have to return to us. They call us up and go, hey, we had a lens crack, we need to get a new one put on, so forth. I'll walk you through it, tell you what to buy, where, and how to put it all together. That's what we do. So otherwise, I think we're all set. We appreciate you watching, and we don't quote on social media. If you do have any questions, just give us a call and or send us an email or something. And right now we don't sell anything, so we're trying to get maybe a store together. We've had a lot of inquiries in regards to what we use and the products we use and so forth. So I'll try to see if we can get that store going pretty soon. I'm not really computer savvy, so I put these videos up so the customer can really see, which I want to thank for coming all the way that he did. I think he come all the way down from Ohio, so that's a long ways to come down to have your roof done. You're going to pass a lot of RV centers coming to my shop, and I'm honored for that. I really am, and that's why I do take the time to put things together exactly the right way and proper way it's supposed to be. It would just really suck, plain English, it would suck if you drive all the way down here and this thing got slapped together really quick, and we go, here you go. If you wanted crappy work, you can get that locally. It's plain and simple. You want generic crappy work, you can get it locally. So we're really honored, and we appreciate all the folks that come down from different areas or up from other areas, Florida, California. They come down from New England, Michigan, Wisconsin. They come from everywhere because we're the only ones that do this. So, and again, patching this is real easy if you had to, because it's a commercial roof. This is not something you can't find anywhere else. Unlike the spray and roll-on products where they go, well, that's our big secret. This is Carlisle. This is a Carlisle membrane. Carlisle is a huge global enterprise. You can find Carlisle almost anywhere if you really had to patch it. If you had a tree branch come down, it was a good size one, and it knuckled a hole in there, I'd leave folks with a piece anyways for a patch in an emergency. No one's ever had to use it. You're not going to get, all these, I see people showing knives and all this stuff going into this, spray roof systems. And I'm like, you think you're going to have a whole bunch of knives coming on your roof? I mean, it's got to hold up to hail and tree branches and things like that. That's what this does. But my point is, this material you can find anywhere. It's Carlisle. If you're curious to know, it's Carlisle Syntec Sherwell TPO. That's all it is. Nothing fancy. And even all of this, everything is all either commercial grade. It's all, you can find it anywhere. So there's no big secret here. It's just the installation, and it's the process of how it's all put together. That's what we bring to the table. So I had to custom make all of these, like I told you in the beginning. That's what I do, and I'll make anything for any component on the roof because that's the way it's supposed to be done. Anywhere across the world, you go anywhere, I don't care where you go, anywhere, Russia, Egypt, Turkey, Italy, anywhere across the globe, okay, and you do a search for flat roof images, you will see everything up on a curb. So all of humanity, all of mankind, everybody knows you need to have a curb on a flat roof, except an RV. Are you serious? Come on now. So, you know, the RV industry is that's just what they do. And then people follow with more hacks to try to reel folks in. So I'm just saying, don't get caught up in all that. Get things done the right way, and you don't have to deal with it again. So, all right, well, we appreciate y'all watching. And like I said, if you got any questions, just reach out and we'll get the information you're looking for. Thank you. Package. Right. So in our care package, we have caulking, we got primer, we have got 2 patches. Those are heat patches. We got a patch peel and stick patch. We got a checker tool. We've got a magnet. And the rest of this is just pens, keychains, brush, nozzle. Okay, so if we have a hole in the roof, it will simulate a hole. You can do hole simulations. We say we got a hole there. Here's your tree branch come through and you're like, oh man, I got a hole in my roof, it's leaking. So what you want to do, and it's raining out. Right now it's raining, you're like, crap, I gotta stop that leak. You want to get in there, and if you can't get that nozzle in there, don't worry about it. Make it a little bigger. What you try and do, you need to get up underneath the roofing, like this. This is what we need to do, get up underneath the roofing. Then you're going to take and you're going to put this up inside there, and you're going to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Hopefully this thing is plugged up. There it goes. Just squeeze, squeeze. You're going to try and get up underneath this part too. Squeeze up underneath there. Get some more underneath there. Well, we are getting this thing all boogered up. Then what we're going to do, you're going to push it together. See how it oozes out? That's sealed. You're done. This is a moisture cured product. So what? It's a hot mess. Looks terrible. Who cares? Keep the water out. So now, the next day, we're going to go up there, and that's going to be cured looking like that. So we're going to take a knife, and you just shave it down. Just shave it down with a knife. I'm just going to obviously wipe this off. Now you say, hey, I want something a little better than that. So what we're going to do is get some cleaner. This is a terrible rag. You got another one. You got one on you? Oh, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag, get a rag. Hey, what are you doing? What are you going to talk about, man? No, just leave it alone. Oh, leave it alone right now. We're recording now? Are we on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Alright, so now we cleaned it off with a knife. I just washed that off because it's still wet. Take that off. So now we got a patch. This is a peel and stick patch. We're going to take that, we're going to center it over there. Just take a pen and go around like this. I like to kind of put a dash like that so I know who's where, what, and where, and how. So now there's what I got. So in the package we got primer. We also have a brush. You're going to take that, you're going to go all inside the square. And you also got to go outside this square about 3/8 of an inch. Outside about 3/8 of an inch or so. Once you get that, there's a film on the back. You peel the film, now you know which side you are, see, because there's your marks. And you peel that film back. Get the fingers in there to get the film off of this thing. This is just a regular roof tape. That's all it is. We put them in all the care packages. Get that daggone thing off of there. Probably need some fingernails. Probably help. Come on. There it is. Okay. Oop, hit, there it is. Now you got the film. We take that film. So now we're going to line it back up with this. We already got the primer under there. You just peel the film back, and as you do, you just rub it down like this. Sometimes that film will get a little stuck in there. This is just a butyl. You just kind of try to keep it as even as you can and flat as you can. Boom, you're done. There it is. So now, out here, this is where your primer is. You put the primer on there. You got primer there, and now you're going to put primer here. You want to prime all this area with your brush. Prime all that. Then you're going to come back. Once you get it all primed, then you're going to put a little bit of caulking on it, just like this. That simple. It doesn't all sit in there. You can always take your finger and go around it if you want. We're trying to obviously stop a leak and make one of. There's going to be a little more permanent of a patch than just that plug that we did when it was raining. So now that we get that all done, the whole purpose of it is this part here. This part underneath here, that's a butyl. When the sun hits that, if you didn't have the caulking on there, it will cause it to release and curl up just like I'm doing here. And it'll start coming loose. That's why you need the primer. That's why when you prime it, you're going to prime on top of this because nothing will stick to it. Nothing, the caulking will not stick to this patch and it won't stick to the roof unless you use the primer. That's how you do a patch. Ta-da! All done.